Hello, hello. This is Pastor Jay of Walker Truth Radio Network with your encouraging word for today. Yes, your encouraging word for today. Wednesday's wisdom. It's not about you. It's not about you. I know in today's world, everybody is for themselves. It's the survival of the fittest. It's always my turn. That's what capitalism tells us. It's always my turn, and I'll do anything that I need to do to get mine. It's not all about you. Communism says that whatever you have belongs to me. It's kind of funny that when we think about it, even in our altruistic endeavors, it becomes about us because very rarely do I see people giving from the heart, sharing from the heart, really looking out for the next person, willing to sacrifice for them. And even the motivational people, it's about them because they want you to follow them. They want you to hire them. You know, this new term that's been created in the last decade or so has been life coach. Everybody wants to be a life coach. Nobody wants to go to school to get their degree in psychology or sociology or the social service field. They want to just be considered a life coach. And what makes them qualified to tell you about how you should live? See, it's about them. They want to gain a father, and they parade their following in front of you to tell you you should listen to them. But then you find out they're no better off than you are. That they're still trying to struggle. They're still trying to strive. And have you noticed something that I noticed? All of these so-called guru life coaches, proctor lights, they all got that look, that Jim Jones drink the Kool-Aid look. And they're trying to get people to follow them to drink their Kool-Aid. And, you know, it's some simple practices that would really help you get some peace because you know what? Besides getting your bag, your money, your fame, your fortune, you're really trying to gain some peace. The Bible gives us clear instructions and clear philosophies and based upon God. You know what he said? He said, "What is it to gain the whole world and lose your soul?" And for the unsaved, I'm going to tell you this. What is it to gain all that stuff and have no peace? How many stories do we have to read where people have achieved the highest in their careers but have no peace? So we have to think of this as a balance. We have to think of this as an opportunity to find out what real peace is. So I'm going to give you a little something today that I've been studying in the scriptures and we're going over in Bible study. And it's about something that you may feel foreign to you. If you go to Philippians 2 and 4 and out of ESV, it says, and that says Philippians 2 and 4, and it says, "Let each one of you look not to his own interests, but also to the interests of others." Not only should you look out for your own interests, but also consider the interests of others. That's so important. It's not telling you not to look out for yourself, but it says balance it out by considering the interests of others. And when you consider the interests of others, you'll find out that you'll be more at peace because what you try to look out for is a commonality. And even when there's a difference, you may appreciate the difference. It may give your interest more flavor. They may give you an idea that you never thought of. Everybody's trying to hide their ideas and keep it to themselves because they're scared somebody's going to steal it. But let me ask you something. If God has instructed you or you have believed that you're supposed to do something and it's uniquely yours, can anybody really steal your idea and take it from you? Because if it's so unique, it's yours. Now, you may not have the resources of the person you believe that steals it, but it's still your idea. And you need to do what it takes so you can move your idea forward. But I tell you what, when you incorporate others, when you look to the interests of others, when you find people who may have an idea on top of your idea, you may find yourself at peace. And in relationships, why does it always have to be your way? Now, there are some things that definitely have to be your way that you can't compromise on. But I'm talking about your general day-to-day disposition. Do you consider others more than yourselves? The Bible also tells us about that. It tells us about considering others more than yourself. Romans 12:3. For by the grace is given to me, this is Paul, I say to you, everyone, every one of you, not to think of himself more than he should. Not to think more of himself than he should. In America, we do. We think more of ourselves than we should. It's all about us. And we figure it has to be about us before it can become about somebody else. And Jesus didn't model that example for us. Jesus came as a servant. So it was about serving mankind, which ended up getting him what was promised to him by God. Have you ever thought the problem is that you're so narcissistic about what you want that maybe God put you here to be a servant to others? And that getting what you're supposed to have comes through serving other people, going out here looking out how to help people versus always trying to be number one. There's a struggle, there's a strife, there's a discipline to moving up the ladder in anything that you do. But the question is, are you willing to pay the sacrifice to get up that ladder? And what I've learned in the years that I've been on this earth, most people aren't. But most people are willing to pay to hear on how they need to do it. But you can't be like that person who's doing it because maybe God didn't call you to do that way. Everybody can't be number one. And being number two, three, or four is not being a loser. Sometimes you need to be the best four you can be. And that honors God and your family and everybody else, and you have some peace. But when you think more of yourself than you should, you'll be still trying to go out for the NFL when you're 60 years old. Always looking back to when you were, but you didn't get picked then. I have some associates that, and I'm gonna say some young people too, that don't understand some things are time dated. Some things really have time is not on your side, so you may need to make these decisions earlier. But willing to serve somebody else, you can always do that. You can always make a decision to be more helpful, to be more caring, to be more merciful, more gracious. You can decide to do that. And you'll find yourself when you start serving others, you'll have peace. A peace that surpasses all understanding. Today, but I just see it too much. It's about me and mine, what I'm gonna do. And then what they say is, once I get mine, I'm gonna extend myself to you. And I see that rarely happens. Because once you start climbing that ladder, you want to stay on top. So your whole focus is not really serving others through what you achieve, but maintaining and fighting off those who are gonna topple you off. But then there's people that I've met that are so humble and so peaceful and are comfortable where they're at. It doesn't mean that they don't try to achieve, but the achievement is not the highest order of the day. It's have I passed on something that's good? Have I loved someone? Have I shown someone some grace? Have I looked after their interests and show them that I think of them and they have value? We have to start building value back in people. We have to start building value back in our families, in our relationships. Because until we start valuing each other, we're really not valuing ourselves. So the objective is if, to be about you, but when you don't value others, others won't value you. So how can they be about you when you all about yourself? Sometimes you can become your own worst enemy in this narcissistic world that we live in, this capitalistic world. But capitalism has to be maintained and balanced off by kindness and humility and willing to give. What is it to gain the whole world and lose your soul? What is to gain your whole world and never have peace? What is to gain the whole world and your whole gaining you have to spend fighting to maintain what you can't take with you anyway? What kind of legacy are you going to leave? Think about all the billionaires that leave their money and nobody ever hears about them again. Nobody cares about them. Even the ones they leave them to, you don't find them talking about them too much. Oh, there are a few that their vast riches have surpassed a couple of generations, but there are millionaires that go to their grave, and for maybe the first 6 or 7 years, people mention them, but then it just dissipates. Their wealth is redispersed back into the pool of society. But when you leave a legacy of love, when you leave a legacy of it being about other people, those people who that you have invested in remembers you. I have a friend, very good friend, my brother, and when he posts something on social media, his birthday comes around, or things happen in other people's lives that he has impacted over the years. It's amazing the response that he gets. And some of these people he haven't seen in 20 and 30 years, but he left such a impact on them that they consider him a friend, even though they may have not talked to him. Because what he deposited in them, being about their interests, not thinking more of himself than he should, has resonated through them. So 20 years down the line, he had to go and do a funeral for a man he hadn't seen in 20 years because his wife said, I want this man to, uh, I want this man to do this for me. I want this man to come along and do my funeral. And a friend of his was amazed because they don't get that. They don't get the response. And I can only tell you one reason why. Because this man has been about other people and building up other people and valuing other people. And therefore, because he valued other people and built them up and showed them that they have worth, he deposited that investment, that seed, decades ago, 2 decades ago, 3 decades ago. It's coming back in a harvest of remembrance, of legacy on how good he was to them. So the question is, do you get more mileage in it being about you all the time, or do you get more mileage and joy investing in others? That's just something for you to think about, something for you to consider as you go through today. It's just something. Because what I see, what I've observed, is that we're becoming more narcissistic. And with the pandemic, it's getting worse. People fighting because one person wears a mask and other person doesn't. You got the Democrats fighting Republicans. You got the black versus fighting white. You got the poor fighting the rich. And the only people that are getting prosperous in this time are the ones who can cause confusion. You allow them to cause you confusion. You allowing them to make it about division versus unity. Let me tell you something, people. You cannot legislate love. You can't make people love each other. You can't make people care for each other. You can't put a law on the books that will make people do right by each other. That has to come from the heart. Even though you may have different religious backgrounds, ethnic and financial and social and political heritage backgrounds, different. But there's a basic love that we should have for each other, a basic caring as human beings. Sexual orientation, all of that. All of that requires you to humble yourself. And wouldn't it be good if there was 10 people in a room in a circle? Just imagine this in your mind. And we're going to work from right to left. And I look out for them, the next person to me, and they look out for the next person to them, and it goes all around the circle. Now, if I've invested in a person, and it's going to come back to me when it gets to the ninth person, because that ninth person is going to look after me. So we all can look after each other. Nobody has to feel that it's all about them. Too much division, even in our churches today. The way we dress, the way we talk, too much division, too much pressure put it on people when they have clay feet also. Leaders are not leaders because they have titles. Leaders are leaders because they're taking you somewhere, either negative or positive, either godly or ungodly. And when a leader is all about himself, then you might as well be in a cult. And some of you are in cultish type relationships with your church, with your organizations, and you don't even know it because you've gotten so used to it. But there's something in you telling you it can't be all about this. It's not. You need to reach out, step back, look at it, and decide, is this really benefiting me for real? Am I at peace here? Or every time that I come around, I get nervous because because the hierarchy has to be honored and I want to be part of the hierarchy so I can be honored. That's not the way to deal with people. You build value in people by teaching people and showing people your vulnerability and showing them that even though you're vulnerable, you still have strength. And that's what people are going to be attracted to. But it's about them also. It's not always about you. So I guess you understand what this is about. It's not about you. So I want you to go out here today. The challenge is just one day, every week, make it solely and wholly about somebody else. How you do it is up to you. And see how good you feel. See how much peace you have. Pay it forward. Do something like that. There's many things that you can do. Go volunteer, and be safe, but go do something. Make it about the other person. Maybe it's a phone call. Maybe it's a letter. Maybe it's an email or a text. That's for you to decide. But I want you to start practicing that once a week. Make it about somebody else. And then you can write me back and tell me how you feel. You can do that at sutton968 at gmail.com. I'm interested. So that's your Wednesday's wisdom. It's not all about you. Make it about somebody else. This is Pastor Jay of Walking Truth Radio Network. I always want you to be encouraged, blessed, and at peace. Always remember, walk in the truth of the Lord. And guess what? It's not about you. Peace. Please like, subscribe, and share. Please join our Facebook family at Walk Truth Radio Network and the same on YouTube, Walk Truth Radio Network. And hit the notification button and please hit the like so the algorithm can go up. Again, check us out. Peace.